my name's Andrew Carson. Been doing these community sessions. I'm a partner development manager here at Vendasta, and I think that's kind of the intro that I was hoping to cover. Before we get into it, we have 3 presenters who are going to be joining us for the next 5 weeks, and so let's get to that. We would love to hear more about you guys, Josh, Erica, and Joel, and then we'll let you get right into the presentation. So I can't remember who was sharing their slides before, if it was Joel or Erica, but you can pull those up, and then maybe let's start with an introduction.
Perfect. So hopefully that's the group of the 3 presenters today. Andrew,
Nice.
thanks for the warm intro there, and ultimately we at Vendasta are very excited that each and every one of you have been able to join us today for what we believe is a nice little group of sessions on the attack of multi-location and how together we can partner with you, our strategic partners, to drive revenues for your business in attacking the multi-location. So I'm just going to ask Erica and Josh to introduce themselves, and then I'll follow up, and then we'll get into the discussion. Erica?
Sure, I can start off. My name is Erica. I am the product marketing manager of Business App and Multi-Location. If you're not familiar with Business App, it's our client-facing app that's intended for small businesses, where they can manage everything digital, their online presence, listings, social, etc. And I've been a product marketing manager here at Vendasta for about 2 years now. And I'm really excited to be here, really excited to speak to you guys, our partners. It's always a good learning experience for us and hopefully for all of you as well.
Awesome, yeah. And my name is Josh Baker. I am a product manager here of Business App and also on the multi-location side of the Business App. And a little bit of fun fact about me. So I've been a product manager for 3 years. But before joining Vendasta, I ran my own small business, and then it was a video production studio. And then currently, I'm also running a small agency on the side, 100% for research purposes, so that I'm dealing directly with clients. I'm feeling the pain that comes when you make a promise to a client and they expect you to deliver. So that's my side gig, and I bring those learnings back to the software that we build so that it's great for all our partners.
Awesome, Erica. Josh, thank you. And I'm Joel Smart. I'm Vice President of Enterprise Partnerships at Vendasta, along with multi-location. I've been playing in the digital space for about 16 years. Some of you sit back and say, wait, was the digital space even around 16 years ago? And it was actually in its infancy. And I took the brunt of it full steam as I was in the newspaper business at the time, working with one of the largest publishing companies in the U.S. by the name of Gannett. And that's when people were beginning to switch their ad dollars from print and preprint to digital, and telling us, hey, we love the digital product, only we don't see as much value in it, so we're going to pay you 10 cents on the dollar for it. And at that point, I knew it was time to maybe find another career as those revenues were dropping dramatically. So I got into the digital space full time. Have had relationships with localees, working with multiple location partners on data aggregation and syndication, and also worked for a couple of digital agencies that focus with multi-location. I've known the team at Vendasta, their founders, since they began about 10 years ago, and love the group. There's a lot of talent within this group, but the thing I really enjoy about the opportunities at Vendasta are working with partners like you all on strategy, on targeting, on determining how we together can win. Ultimately, I love to win. I love to help you win, because when you win, we win. So I'd like to just surround myself with winners. So today I think we have a really nice little agenda, and we really want to talk today about the structure of multi-location. Why is multi-location important? What does multi-location actually do for us? And before we really get started, I want to turn everything over to Josh. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to witness and integrate and touch and feel and play in the Vendasta platform in the multi-location segment, chock full of analytics. But I want Josh to just take a little bit of time and walk you through what that multi-location dashboard looks like. Josh?
Nice. And as Josh is pulling that up, I want to make sure everyone knows where the chat is. So in the chat, let us know where you're calling in from, and type in yes if you're currently working with any multi-location businesses, or type no if you're not working with any multi-location businesses. We'd love to get a sense for what you are doing right now and where you're calling in from. Go ahead, Josh.
Very cool. Yeah, Joel, I'll just get you to stop sharing and then I can take over.
You got it.
Thank you, good sir. So yeah, I'll just share my screen briefly, and we'll just give you just a quick overview of the multi-location business app. So this is the tool that Vendasta provides. It's fully white labeled. I'm sharing my screen now. Hopefully you can see I'm in one agency's version of their business app. So this is Seeka Marketing. And we're looking at a brand here, and this is a podiatry clinic, Island Foot Clinics. And full disclosure, this is my side hustle. This is Seeka Marketing, and that's why I'm showing this information to you today. And this is a real client that I'm working with. And right before COVID started, they had 3 locations, and COVID hit, and they found themselves overwhelmed because the province of British Columbia here in Canada asked them to take on more work with the health side. So they decided after a couple of months that they wanted to scale up, and they went from 3 clinics to having 11 clinics, and they're still considering opening more. So this was a really interesting version of, you know, really it was a small business that I started working with, and they're turning into a legitimate multi-location client who has got all the problems that a big multi-location client starts to run into when you start adding this many locations and you need to manage your brand online. So I'm working with them on that. So this is the dashboard, and you can see the locations as they're spread out across British Columbia here in Canada. And you get a quick overview of how they're doing in some of their areas. And you can see right away, they're not doing much on social. They haven't hired a social person. They're not working with me on social yet. So their social feed is just about dead. So that's going to be an opportunity for me to work with them in the future. And also advertising. They're not doing any advertising. Right now, they're in logistics. I wouldn't say hell, but they're trying to figure out all the logistics of their business, and that's where all the energy is going. So they're not doing any advertising. But what is really, really important to them right now is that they're getting found on Google, that their listing and information is getting spread accurately across the internet as they're creating their new businesses, and that their reviews get better. And they're actually not doing too great with reviews. And so that's one of our focuses that I'm working with them right now. So you can go into this tool, and what's really cool is once you've connected at each location, you can connect the different sources. You can then start getting reporting. And one of the tricks you can do actually is, if you're familiar with our snapshot report, if you want to create a new brand, add the locations, run a snapshot on all those locations, it will immediately pull in the data into the multi-location report. So you won't get Google My Business because that requires an authentication, but you will get listings. You will get, let's see here, you'll get reputation data, you'll get the reviews all pulled in, and you can use this as a prospecting tool right off the bat, just using our snapshot to run on all these locations. But so this is a client that I've gone in and I've connected, and you can see we've got Google My Business data tracking here, and you can see we're making some progress over the last few months. They were very, very low earlier, and we've slowly been getting some increase in their GMB and map presence, which is excellent. The photo tracking data. Listings is the big focus. We're trying to get them accurate for all 11 locations, and we can see the tracking here on that. And then of course, here's our listing score. Some of you may be familiar. This is a weighted score that we give. Google gets the biggest share of the points. So for example, a Google listing is worth a maximum of 100 points if it's perfectly accurate. And you know, they're sitting at 940 out of 1100. So we're just about there in getting their Google presence locked down and perfect. And we're proving that performance too. We've made really big strides in the last little while here. As I said, advertising, and here's their website. We can see their website stats are climbing. So I use this with proof of performance when I meet with the brand owners. There's about 3 of them. There's an office manager I meet with. There's and then there's 2 partners who are the partners of this brand. And I will send them the executive report along with a personalized email to say, here's what's happened in the last few months. It's kind of about every 2 months we do a review with the client and keep going from there. So this is proof of performance that I'm using with the client. And then as I'm actually doing the work, we're going in and we're working on, I'll start with listings because this is where they're at right now. So you can go into the listings portion of the tool, and I get a breakdown of all the different listings and how accurate we are. We can see the changes that have been happening in the previous period. And we can also change it to view by location. So if we go compare by location, if I want to, there's even a map here that helps me to visualize those locations. And you can see, okay, so there's one, let's go with inaccurate or sort by inaccurate. So we've got some issues on these locations, and I can drill into this location, and I can look at that individual location, and I can start to see where the issues are. And then we can go to work. This is the really cool part. So you can click on the missing listings, and it takes us over to this other tab, which is the Manage tab. And it's filtered this location by, let's see here, we've got it set to, yeah, it's just that location. And I want to see the inaccurate ones and also the missing listings. And this myself or a team will go in, and this is the workflow. You go in here and you start working on, and I say, you know, usually you want to go with one type at a time because it makes life a little bit easier. But we could go with, I'm going to set it to all my locations here, one sec. And then we're going to go and find all of the Google issues first. That's where we should start. Whoops. Okay, so I've got 3 Google issues for these 3 locations still. So there's a couple things. Oh, there's a phone number missing on this listing. So I can go and view that live, and I can confirm, you know, is this actually an issue? Yep, there's no phone number connected to this account. So that's something I got to go and deal with. And then we can go on to this one. Oh, same thing, phone number, this one. Oh, it looks like we've got an actual issue with, this might have actually connected to the wrong listing. It's a business that has multiple clinics in it, so it looks like they've connected the wrong one. So I would go in and I'd reconnect this to the correct listing. So that's just an example of how you can use this tool, your teams can use this tool for actual workflows, and then proving that performance to be able to manage all those locations. And then what's really cool is you can filter it by anything. So say you're dealing with hundreds of locations and you want to work on a certain region, a certain state, you can do that. And you can even assign permissions. So say there is a head office of a brand and they want to see everything, but you've got regional managers or you have regional departments. You can actually give permissions over in Partner Center as to who can see which regions, and you can split up the permissions so that certain teams can come in and manage just certain areas, or even just at the individual location level. So that's just a quick overview. I know we could go into like much more detail, but I just wanted to give a little overview on what our multi-location tool is like. And I know that our purpose today is really to talk about, we're going to start at the highest level, and we're going to talk about what types of multi-location brands are out there. And then in our future sessions, we're going to go into the strategies of how would you use a tool like this to prospect, to get their attention, to get that meeting, and then to keep that client, retain the client over time. And we'll be going into more details about that. But yeah, I'll stop there, and I'll give it back to you, Joel. Thanks.
That is
Josh,
awesome,
thank you.
Josh. Hey, I just want to do a shout out to the group again. Of the people who are currently working with multi-location opportunities, are you using the multi-location dashboard in Vendasta? I'd be curious to know how many people are using it. If you are working with multi-location and using the dashboard, just pop yes or no into the chat. But Joel, take it away.
Yeah, Josh, thank you. Andrew, thank you for that. And I was going to ask the exact same question. For those of you who have already been engaged with the multi-location dashboard, I'd love to see in the chat what your customers are saying about it. What do they like? Is there anything that you found that isn't in there that you wish, wow, I really wish Vendasta had this piece to help my multi-location? Because if you do, that's something we'll put on our roadmap, right? So that we can be even more encompassing and engaging with your customers as we work with you, our partners. I think that's huge value as we go to market with the multi-location. And for those of you that haven't seen the multi-location dashboard yet, I encourage you to get into your platform, open up that brand report, and start engaging and looking at that and seeing all the value. Put a fake brand in. Go grab 10 McDonald's and put them in, right? Put them in in a demo mode and just segment it out and take a look and see what happens. See all of that data that's available. And I think the value that you're going to find is exceptional. And I think as we go through the next 15, 20 minutes, I think we hopefully will be able to point out some of those things that we have found historically to be of need and want for folks that you're going after.
Yeah. Hey,
From the
Joel.
corporate level to the franchise. Yes, Josh.
No, I just want to jump in. I see the questions in the chat here. Those are excellent questions. Thank you very much. We'll address these either at the end of our session today if we have some time. And if not, we'll definitely make those part of a future session. There's one here about, how do we just set this up? Excellent question. We will definitely address that for you.
Perfect. Thank you. So let's talk about the untapped value of the multi-location channel. Bear with me here. So in my world, as I focus primarily on multi-location with our partners at Vendasta, I simply wonder why put all that effort into a single location deal? When taking a look at a multi-location opportunity, you can gain multiple sales, and in a lot of times with not much more sales time invested. Now, don't get me wrong. If you sell a small to medium-sized business and your average sell is 7 sales calls to close that account, and you go into a multi-location with 100 locations, I'm not here to tell you that you're going to sell that in 7 sales calls. It may take 10. It may take 12. But even though you've just extended 5 more sales calls, you've also extended your reach by 99 additional accounts that you've brought on the platform. So there's huge value in time vested within that multi-location opportunity. So when we close a multi-location, what's the benefit to our agency or to your individual bank accounts, right? What's the value? What's in it for you? I love that old radio acronym. What's in it for you? WIFU. What's in it for you? So it's a higher ROI. You're gaining more revenue. It's higher acquisition of clients at a lower cost than a single acquisition. It's limited churn. But trust me, you must babysit these accounts. You must make sure they're happy, because when they do churn, it's a big hit. It's positive cash flow. And what I mean by that is most multi-location opportunities are used to paying a year in advance. Those multi-location opportunities, if they have 100 locations, they want to pay for 12 months of service today for all 100 locations. That's the way their budgets are set up. The other potential opportunity when you deal with multi-locations is if you have the ability to save them money, they reinvest that savings in other digital services that you have available. So while you're taking a little bit out of their expense line budget for O&O products, maybe that you're utilizing with the Vendasta platform, you're going to get additional dollars in. And studies will show you that when a customer, whether it's an SMB or whether it's a multi-location, is look at dipping their toe in the water to try something new, their first call is going to be to that partner they can trust. So as those customers are engaged with you in products that you sell, they're going to come to you anytime they're looking for a new website, a new local page, an SEO audit. They're going to turn to the resource which has returned results to them. So those are just some of the reasons that multi-location affords a great opportunity. But we offer something else. Through your partnership with those multi-locations, you help them reduce vendor clutter. We recently were engaged with a partner, and they had 200 locations that they were working on a multi-location deal for one of their customers. Those 200 accounts were represented by 16 different reputation companies, 17 different listing management companies, and 63 companies putting Facebook and Google ad packages locally together for them. Do you think there's any pain with that corporate office in trying to understand what all of those franchises are doing? Where they're seeing value, where they're not? For them to just get an overall star rating of all their locations, they literally had to pump everything into a spreadsheet so that they could track it. So on a monthly basis, they tracked their Google star rating so that they knew how they ended up at the end of the month. Imagine bringing all of those services into one, reducing that customer's cost, giving them all of those analytics that they've been paying an FTE to do. They don't have to eliminate that FTE. They can find other things for that FTE to do. These companies have small marketing budgets. You have saved them money. You've made their job much easier. You've allowed them to spread out the workflow. And most of all, you probably just got them promoted. And because they got promoted, now they're going to get engaged in other areas of business where they can throw you even more business opportunities across the digital space. So it's a win-win for everything. And that's why, to me, multi-location really provides an excellent opportunity. This is a report that came out just this week on what multi-location brands' top needs are. And as you take a look at this, one of the nice value propositions that we have through the Vendasta platform that Erica and Josh and that team works on daily to meet the needs of multi-location and SMBs alike, and the partner base that we have here at Vendasta, is we're able to check most of these boxes off through our platform. That's a positive. It's not 100% check-offable, if that's even a phrase, but the opportunity that we have here is that these items that we don't have today, Josh and company already have them on their roadmap. They're already looking at how can the Vendasta platform up its game even more in multi-location to meet some of these additional needs that multi-location brand personnel, directors of digital, marketing managers, CMOs, social media managers, how they can capitalize and use the Vendasta platform to meet every single one of these needs. Look at these numbers, extremely valuable or very valuable.
Hey, Joel.
All 60 points or higher, yes.
And I can even go through this really briefly to say,
Beautiful.
the first point there, SLAs on review response times. So our multi-location platform tracks review response times, and you can report on that. So we have that. The ability to claim and manage listings and sync listings, that's core to Vendasta. Analyzing listing metrics, impressions, clicks, photos. Yeah, we saw that just earlier. Manage local content assets. That's a feature that we're not very strong in right now, but is definitely on the roadmap. That's where one of the opportunities for improvement is. But as we continue down the list, aggregating brand mentions, that's coming very soon. The ability to do local social advertising, coming soon. And we can do advertising reporting, as you saw. And scheduling posts. We have the multi-location social composer is in beta right now. It is coming very soon. You're going to be able to play with that. We're making sure that it's rock solid as we get ready to release that. The ability to do post approval and review. That is something through Task Manager that we can do. And of course, being able to claim and manage your social media pages. Our system handles that excellent. So the majority of these you already can go to market with, and you can walk in the door with the meeting and say, we can consolidate and that vendor clutter you're dealing with and help you manage your locations.
And this is very timely information too, right? This information just came out.
This hit, I believe the first post of this I saw was Wednesday morning.
Yeah, so this is great timing.
And see, the value of being a partner with Vendasta is you now have insights on where Josh's roadmap is taking the multi-location platform. So why Go ahead.
First, sorry, just Michael is just saying, where's the data source? If you just go back a slide, bottom left is Forrester Localized Marketing Survey.
Oh, sorry, I just covered over it, I think.
Yeah, it's all good.
Andrew, do we have the ability to send this information out post-call to this group?
Yeah, we'll get some info posted in the community. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect. So let's make sure we post that source in there if you don't mind.
I'll drop
Yeah.
the link in the chat right now. How about I'll find out where you're going.
Perfect.
Right on.
All right. So some more reasons why multi-location is important. Once again, those brands are overspending on services. That brand I mentioned earlier with 16 reputation companies and 19 different listing companies, they're paying setup fees 19 times. They're paying setup fees for reputation 16 times. They have a lack of productivity. They have somebody that's having to bring and assemble all of that data in manually so that they can get an overview of what the multi-locations are actually doing. Reporting inconsistencies, one platform does this one way, one platform does this a different way. User security issues. Imagine how many people have access to their GMB profiles. That's kind of scary. You have all of those users that are actively engaged and being able to manipulate and touch that Google data. And obviously it's a low return on investment when you add all these additional costs in for the value that they're getting. So now we have the capacity with partners like you all to engage with those multi-locations, provide to them one source for their digital service offerings, and not only one source for the services, but one source for analytics, one source of understanding, one source of billing. Everything flows very positively when we tell the story accurately. So structure and anatomy of a multi-location. For intents and purposes of this discussion, we're looking at brands with scope and brands with scale when we talk multi-location. But we also know that there's multi-locations within individual markets. It might be Josh's Pizza, okay? Or Andrew's Beard Company. And ultimately, they've done such a good job in the community that they started, they now decide to expand. So Andrew moves from Saskatchewan, where he has a location right now, and he wants to go into Moose Jaw. These are actually real cities in Canada. So he wants to go to Moose Jaw. And now he is, quote, a multi-location. But Andrew is a one-man band. He's doing all the marketing and everything else by himself. So while we have those initiatives and opportunities that are out there, the next 4 weeks as we talk through multi-location, the thing that we really want to focus on are some of those more branded concepts. And there's really 3 primary types of brands that are out there. There's companies like First Watch. First Watch is a breakfast-only restaurant chain, primarily in the southeast portion of the United States. They have 200 locations. Each one is company-owned and operated. What does that mean? It means all decisions are made by one person or one team of people within their corporate office. You have one sales opportunity, one group of people to influence to sell those 200 locations. All locations are on the same system. They're using the same software, but you must identify and sell to the marketing or main decision maker within the brand. Then you have the primarily heavy franchised units. And for this intents and purposes, we'll just use Pizza Hut, okay? Everybody's familiar with Pizza Hut. 18,000 worldwide locations. Multiple decision makers. How do you get to multiple decision makers? The franchisee could be making his or her own decision at the local level on what they do locally. You could have regional people making that decision. You could have corporate making that decision. You could have area developers that have the rights to open 100 or 500 Pizza Huts in a particular area making those decisions. The challenge is, how do we navigate to and how do we understand who the influencer is and ultimately who the contract and check signer are? Where do we sell into them? And then you have companies like McDonald's, over 30,000 locations. In the United States, they're broken down into local co-ops. The average co-op has about 500 stores, 500 restaurants. They make all of their local marketing decisions on a co-op by co-op basis. So if you want to sell to McDonald's, you have to go to their individual co-ops to sell reputation and listings in a lot of cases. These brands are also so big that for the national audience, they have a team dedicated to social. They have a team dedicated to presence. They have a team dedicated to reputation and customer care. So your foot in the door is selling one product and then doing the old land and expand by getting additional products in and sharing the value of the platform and how we can bring all of the analytics in for all of those digital initiatives and help them across the board. The one thing each of these buckets of locations have in common is they want knowledge. They want to understand what's happening. McDonald's wants to know what's happening in their franchise community. First Watch wants to know what's happening in each of their company-operated restaurants. Who's performing well? Who's performing not so well? And Pizza Hut wants to evaluate how they're doing, and evaluations through the platform could result in franchisees being awarded another restaurant or not being awarded another restaurant. Let's think about this. If you're Pizza Hut and you have the keys to that next restaurant and you can give it to Andrew or you can give those keys to Josh. And Josh traditionally runs a customer service rating, star rating of under 2. And the comments range from dirty restaurant, terrible service, to I'll never eat there again, compared to Andrews that say, love the staff, they're always pleasant and happy, the pizza's always warm, whether I eat in or get it delivered. Who do you think's getting the next set of keys? Sorry, Josh, I'm giving them to Andrew. So there's the ultimate opportunity, the knowledge base that these brands can find out. And that has nothing to do with marketing. That has everything to do with franchise development, right? So now we've shared how the platform can not only support marketing, but can support store ops, can support franchise. All of those opportunities are available there. So once we understand the structure and how things are going, who do we decide where to turn, where to go after? So somebody like First Watch, we're going to go after that one sole decision maker, that one person to sell at the corporate office, because we know all those locations come in the same deal. And we know that they're in need of a single solution to manage all of those locations and compare the performance. In the Pizza Hut franchise grouping, we know there's multiple decision makers, which allows each and every one of us the opportunity to begin working closely with Pizza Hut. You all have franchises in each one of your communities. Some of them are going to be area developers that have rights or already own multiple locations. That's a multi-location just waiting. And then you have the hybrid like McDonald's. Again, many decision makers. One or a few locations can come in every deal. But I can tell you the one thing that I've known, and I have a history working with the team at McDonald's, so one of the things I know is that they're loyal. And once you gain the trust of a couple of those franchisees, they'll introduce you to the next couple franchisees. And now the referral selling process begins. And that's a topic for another call. So the question that I have is, many of you have already been working on multi-location opportunities. What roadblocks or challenges or struggles have you encountered? Can we talk about a couple of those? Who's willing to put themselves out there? Come on, Andrew told me this is not a shy group.
I'll talk.
No.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan.
Let's do it. So I do have a few multi-location clients, and one of the big things is it's always been the, you know, I build a relationship with one location and then I expand upon the next location. This obviously is very time consuming. You know, for me, it has taken obviously months, sometimes a year to get that trust and to expand to other locations, or in some cases to get a referral to the next location, right?
Right.
But I made a decision about, you know, I would say about right before COVID happened to really dive into multi-location. And the first place that I was going to try to start was at some actual, well, I think it was Franchise Expo. So it's one of the larger expos that goes around the country. But obviously COVID happened and was not able to really participate like I wanted to. But I think, you know, what one of the challenges is basically trying to figure out or find a way to actually start that first initial contact and find those multi-location businesses.
And
Perfect,
Joel, before you jump in and answer Ryan's question, I want to give a big shout out to Ryan. If you don't know who Ryan is, Ryan recently made it onto the top 12 entrepreneurs to watch on Yahoo Finance list. So I'm going to pop that in. I'm going to put that into the chat. Give it up for Ryan, everybody. Ryan making moves.
Thanks.
So
here's
what
the
you're saying,
article in the
Andrew, is
chat.
he should be doing this presentation today.
Oh no.
Ryan's going to be doing many presentations in the future.
I love it. Congratulations, Ryan. Well deserved.
Thank you, guys.
Right. And to your point, that is a tough call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is really trying to understand and really getting a feel for where we start. And we are going to talk about that in one of the upcoming sessions in how we get going. But I think just quick overview of this, there's a couple things that I would do. The first thing I would take a look at, and anybody else can jump in here and help respond to this, it'd be great. But the snapshot report really is valuable. And as a business owner myself, you know, I'm just like everybody else at Vendasta. I have a side hustle as well. I actually am a part owner of the most popular ice cream shop in Northern Virginia. Okay. So I have 450 transactions a night. I have lines that are 45 minutes long for people to get served ice cream, which is absolutely amazing to me.
And you got to drop the name, Joel. What's the brand?
It's called Brewster's.
All right.
So some of you may be familiar with it. But anyway, so I understand that small business. And there's nothing I like to do more than talk about my business, right, as a business owner. So I would encourage anyone out there working on these small businesses is to look around and say, okay, I want to go after this multi-location. Which one appears to be the busiest? Which one appears to be doing the best? Then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to buy breakfast. I'm going to engage. I'm going to ask to talk to that manager. I'm going to ask to see if that owner's in there. And I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions. They're going to love to talk to you because it's their business. And if you run that award-winning Vendasta snapshot report before you go in, you're going to be intelligently aware and astute about maybe some inefficiencies that they have. And imagine as they're talking and they start maybe sharing a little bit of pain, or you ask them, do you have any challenges? Do you have any pain? And they start talking about, yeah, well, I get people who respond negatively in reviews and that drives me nuts and everything else. Would you answer back? No, I don't know how to do that. And all of a sudden now we have the makings of an opportunity. We have the opportunity to say, go ahead.
I agree 100%. And one thing I notice is it becomes extremely easy once you are given the access to multiple locations. And when you upload the information into the business center, even like for us, we've even given some free tools away just so that we can have them connect their accounts and turn on the multi-location center. And at that point, it becomes, they actually understand and they're able to grasp the effectiveness and the potential of this system.
Right. And here's a promise I'll make to Ryan and I'll make to everybody else on this call. If you have a multi-location opportunity and you want to do just that, put some of their locations in and make some connections and everything else, work with your team member at Vendasta to get that accomplished. Each one of those individuals should be willing to do that. And if they're not, call me, call Andrew, call Josh, call Erica. We'll get it taken care of for you, because that's proof in the pudding, right? That's showing that, hey, there's an opportunity here that we can build upon, that we can help you grow your business. But the more you know about their business, there's nothing more valuable. When I started working with McDonald's years ago, I worked with my very first contact at McDonald's. He said, what can I do to help make you successful? I said, here's what I need you to do. I need you to connect with one of your top franchisees and let me work in their store free of charge for a week. I want to understand how they make food. I want to understand what the customers say. I want to be able to tell everybody I started his crew. I got more value when I met with a group of McDonald's operators and said, I worked in a McDonald's. I know what you go through every single day. It had only been a week. I left that detail out, right? But I was honest. I did work in a McDonald's. And the value's there. So engage with those local businesses. Sit down. Don't even try and sell them the first visit or two. Just get knowledge. Yeah. And once you build that relationship and rapport, those referrals will come easier. Those opportunities for them to give you additional people's names. Hey, you ought to reach out to Bob over here because he's really influential in XYZ brand. And what he says typically happens. Now you have the intro to somebody who can now influence even more locations. Does that help?
Hey, Joel, I just wanted to share something. If you stop sharing for a second, we were talking about a little bit of conversation going on in the chat about, getting the attention. And you mentioned going in, having a conversation with the owner. One of the things, and this is kind of a secret weapon, I would say that it might even be a little bit, let's see here. Am I sharing my screen again?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So in multi-location, there is this incredible tool, and this can run 100% off of the Express Reputation Management or just running snapshots even. What we do is we pull in all the reviews, and then on the Insights tab, we actually do machine learning and we use Google's AI on the reviews to pull in key phrases and trends and sentiment of those phrases. And you could sit down with the owner and you can say, hey, on your 11 locations, we've pulled in all the reviews in the last 90 days, and this is what the world is saying about your brand. So you've got your top trending words. So this business gets very few reviews, and because it's medical, when they review it, they're negative. So there's a huge opportunity here I have to work with reviews with this client. But essentially you can say, okay, foot, what are people saying about foot? Well, you've got, or actually let's do orthotics. Here's one. They're having struggle with orthotics because these couple of reviews, they're telling future customers that their product is useless. That's bad. Really, really bad. So this is something that, hopefully you're going to work with a brand that, it's not all pain like this one is, but this is, I would consider this a multi-location, like one section of the multi-location snapshot. You could put this together in an afternoon, have some insights and some things, some value. And then what we're talking about in the chat is you can give this to them, give them access to this let them go in and use the express versions of the products and be able to go in and manage. So now you can say, hey, if you want your team to go in and do something about this, I'm going to give you a tool you can use for 90 days here. You can go in, you can use templates to automatically respond to these reviews live. You can work your way down, try and deal with this problem you've got. And if you want help with this, our team is available to help. So that's just one strategy, one way that you could tackle this. But I wanted to show off this Insights tab because it is just absolutely powerful. And you can definitely use this in giving some value upfront with your clients.
Great, Josh. That's perfect insight. Appreciate that. Andrew, I think we're getting close to the end of our hour, and thought we might want to open the floor up for any additional questions that are out there, and then we'll close out in about 8 minutes and share with you some of the content that's going to be available in the next several sessions related to multi-location. So, Andrew, do you want to do a little Q&A here?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to hear from anybody else on the line. I saw quite a few people at the beginning saying that you're working with multi-locations. Who's on the line? Who wants to ask some questions to Joel and Josh and the team here, or provide some feedback on working with multi-locations that we can help? Mitchell, I can see you unmuted.
Yeah, so thank you guys. So Joel, you definitely got my mind spinning with ideas, because I have a friend that owned 7 McDonald's in New Jersey, and they just recently sold them and got out of it. But they were, approached by McDonald's corporate to like take on way more responsibility, and they just didn't want to, because McDonald's was going through that phase where, you've probably noticed, all the McDonald's are getting remodeled and updated, and they were told that they had to pay for that themselves and not corporate. Mm-hmm. So they got out before they had to remodel their store, which would cost like $1 million. But they have so many connections in McDonald's, and they're best. It's one of our best friends' parents. So I'm going to reach out to them and be like, hey, you still got those McDonald's connections of people you know, because they did it for about 30 or 40 years with the McDonald's. So I'm gonna reach out and see if I can get some connections, I guess, with them, because I never really thought about, McDonald's is kind of like that, I guess, unapproachable company in my head, because they're just so big, and you kind of think, yeah, it is still locally owned, a lot of them. I just never really thought about McDonald's. I always think about the local one-person businesses. But so thank you for that, because I just really got my mind spinning. So I'm going to reach out to them.
Right. So here's what I would suggest you do, Mitchell, in that reach out to them. Ask them 2 questions. Who's the local cooperative president? And they're the ones that have the monthly or quarterly co-op meetings of all of the McDonald's owners within that geographic DMA. So that would be the first question I would ask them is who that co-op president is. And then the other question I would ask them is, who in the group is the most influential of the operators? And not the one who thinks he or she is the most influential, but the one who actually is. Because the one who owns the most restaurants normally thinks they're the most influential, but that may not be the case. So your family contact would be able to provide you that. And if you can get that most influential contact engaged with you and a relationship started, the majority of that co-op will come on board, which is an interesting approach to that. That would be my suggestion. Who else has some comments?
That's great. And Joel, that kind of points towards a sales philosophy that we're building into Sales and Success Center Medic, where you identify the champion, right? And then you understand the metrics that are important to them, so you can understand what to review in the dashboard, and then who to connect with and who's going to help you get there. So, a little spoiler alert for people on the call, we're building that philosophy right into Sales and Success Center. So as you're managing these opportunities, you can keep track of that information too. Thomas McMillan, I can see you unmuted. Love to hear your comment or question.
Yeah, so one client that I'm looking at working with right now, they just because of COVID, they put in e-commerce capabilities. They have six locations. So the bringing in their e-commerce data from particular platforms, that seems to be because they're selling from one platform to all of the locations, but they're pulling inventory from each of those different locations, and that seems to be something that a lot of small retailers are doing right now, just because they're trying to serve their customers.
Right.
How is the platform able to help in pulling in, I guess, e-commerce data through Google Analytics, from that funnel data versus, normal website metrics?
Perfect. And that's why I love my role, is I can listen to a question like that and I can toss it over to Josh.
The beauty of being on a team.
Josh, what do you think about being able to bring some of those analytics into the platform?
So just so I get your question, forgive me, which analytics specifically were you mentioning there that we don't have?
You would have to pull in, the Google so the client would have to pull in the e-commerce capabilities within Google Analytics to look at funnel metrics.
Yep.
Versus just the standard Google Analytics metrics.
Right.
From that perspective. And that seems to be something that they are concerned about. Like, well, that's really their focus right now, because they just put in investment in their e-com platform, right?
For sure, 100%. Okay, so I think what you're actually talking about really aligns with the roadmap of where multi-location is going. We have two priorities right now. The first priority is the scalability of the system. If anyone's on the call here has been working with locations, 300, 400, 500 locations in multi-location, you'll notice that sometimes it is slow. So our primary thing is making it fast for that scale, that huge amount of data that's coming in. So you're gonna be seeing that coming down the pipe right away in the next couple months. And then immediately after that is, once we've got that stability, that foundation to load that much data instantly in a report, then we're going to be bringing in more data. And so we're working on, we currently have, actually, if you have any clients, this probably won't happen with the local business or even the brand level, but we can pull in API data on a manual connection. So if they have data coming from an API and they're a large brand, then we can work at creating a custom API and bringing in custom data cards. We're doing that with our large partners. But in the future, we're going to be democratizing that. We're going to be making it so that you can connect a new data source, you can have a new card appear, and custom cards within Google Analytics would fall under that category. So that would be the next thing on our roadmap plans here. So at the moment, we do have those kind of predefined Google Analytics cards. For myself, there's some specific reporting that I do for my client as well, and I will go in and I'll screenshot the other tools that I'm using right now, and I combine those into a very custom handwritten quarterly review email that I send out to my clients. I find that it's still, like, as amazing as the executive report is, you really need to combine the executive reporting with that custom analysis. You have to add comments and explanations to the metrics, why things are going up, why things are going down. And so I'll do that. I'll combine the executive report maybe with that other source, go into Google Analytics, take a screenshot, and do the reporting that way. But that's our roadmap, is we want to make the system handle more and more of that for you. Yeah.
Thanks for the question, Thomas, and thanks for addressing that, Josh.
Yeah.
Joel, I see a question here from Allie. She in the chat. She says, "What about a Planet Fitness? Same deal. Call and ask about who the best contact for that location is. Go from there, or leave a Planet Fitness alone." Allie, I'm just wondering if you're comfortable to unmute yourself and maybe provide a little bit more context to this opportunity.
Oh, hello. I was just wondering, so Planet Fitness, I'm not sure if everybody knows what Planet Fitness is, but I know we have a lot of them. It's just a gym chain. It's a franchise, I believe. So I just know that we have a lot around here that actually one of my salespeople, who isn't really doing sales yet, but they're signed up to, always goes to Planet Fitness. And I tried to get him to maybe talk to them. Or is it just like not even worth the trouble with something as big as Planet Fitness?
Well, I love the question, right? And I think there's a couple of things that play into Planet Fitness. Is you're right, they are all franchise based. Okay. So that means that there is probably a lot of decision making at the lower level. And when I say at the lower level, I mean at the franchisee level, right?
Okay.
So I think, Allie, as you take a look at that, I think that I would maybe begin to engage with that owner, Planet Fitness. And the other thing I know about
Yeah.
Planet Fitness is traditionally the same owner owns multiple locations.
Okay.
So as you talk to that owner and you start getting engaged in conversation and everything else, and once again, those snapshot reports are valuable. And we'll talk next time on qualifying of a multi-location opportunity and how to read and understand maybe some of the things that they're doing versus not doing, ways that you can navigate in. But I would utilize all of that knowledge and information to see what you can put together for them. And then who knows, that could grow in from one location because that franchisee owns 3. They may be growing, maybe 5 in a couple years. But now all of a sudden that franchisee introduces to the next franchisee and the next franchisee. And maybe in a year or two, you have 25 or 30 Planet Fitnesses. And then you're ready to go corporately to the group and say, hey, I'm working with this group. These are the results I've shown. And now you have a great story to tell of what you've done with 25 or 30 locations. And if they can do that with 700 or 800, I don't know offhand how many are in the chain, but imagine that opportunity now. So you started and invested some time at one location. It grew to 30. Now you're in a couple regions. In a few years, you're on track to maybe land 700. That's a pretty nice fish to put in the boat.
Okay. So basically with these types of accounts, you're suggesting that we do more homework into it first than we would, say, reach out to a mom and pop store down the street. So we have like actual something to show them, like, well, here's where you're at, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I would, because once again,
Okay.
they want
No
to
problem.
talk intelligently about their business, right? And
Yeah.
they want to talk to somebody who kind of knows a little bit. They're going to be more impressed if you have some information about their business
Yes.
that they may not even know about. Imagine if you can throw something at them that they really didn't even know.
Right.
Did you
Cool.
realize your star rating's 2.2 on your one location, but your 4.5 on your other 2?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Great. All right,
Perfect.
awesome. Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
That's awesome.
Thanks for jumping out there. We appreciate it.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Allie. So
Thank
Ty, we're at the top of the meeting, but always appreciate your comments. If you have something quick to say before we get into what to expect for the next sessions.
Yeah, I just want to say, Joel, if you have an amazing voice and presentation, and if you don't already have a podcast, radio show, YouTube, you should consider it, brother. I'm serious.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So for future question to be answered, one question that I had, and it is the concept of loss leader with multi-location. So the idea of a loss leader is not something I've heard talked about a whole lot yet in other sessions, but going to one franchise and offering to do it super low with the agreement that do a good job and you're going to recommend me. What do you think? And that can be answered later because we're at the top of the meeting, Andrew, like you said. Andrew, and you do an amazing job too. Thank you for you do.
Thanks, Ty. I appreciate it.
Honesty is, so many of us feel very intimidated by everything we're doing. And I've been doing this over 5 years now, but I started using my own stuff. So I'm a big Vendasta fan, and I'm a Canada fan too. I'm a Northwestern Iowa born guy. So anyway,
Nice.
Thank you for what you do.
Kudos to you, Ty. Keep it up.
I'm
So
trying.
Joel, I
Thanks.
think Ty's question we might answer in a future session.
We will, but and I'll just give you the quick blurb. And I saw somebody just posted, be careful because they'll put you in procurement to death. And that is true. So whoever wrote that, I just saw the note come up, but I didn't see who it was, but that is true. So as you do that, obviously it's a scale business for multi-location, right? So the 1,000 locations is going to get a lower price than 100 locations. It's just pennies and cents. So what I would do is I would not go in so low that you're just buying the business, but I would go into it with a number that once you hit a scale level, you're comfortable with that. So even as procurement begins to come down from that, you're going to be in that situation. But the thing I would also say, as you befriend that customer and say, hey, I'm going to put you on this program because I believe in it. I'm going to take a loss on this. so that I can show you the value. That way, that franchisee or that multi-location single year, that one unit that you're testing, or that smaller franchise group that you're testing, he knows what you did.
Sure.
And he's hopefully you've built that relationship now on trust, and
Yep.
he's going to go to bat for you, and he's not going to jump out to procurement and say, shoot, he gave me $2 a location. I'm making a number up. Nobody's given $2 a location, right? But I think you get the point of what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah. Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, as we take a look at wrapping up here, and I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. Today, let me just share my screen here. Sorry, I thought it was still being shared. I keep forgetting Josh keeps taking my rights from me. Today, we talked about the anatomy of multi-location. Next Friday, we want to talk about the qualification and qualifying a multi-location opportunity. Then they're going to give us a week break, and Jackie Cook, our CSO, is going to do an executive Q&A on the week of the 28th, or on Friday the 28th. Then we're going to come back on September 4th with strategy session on how to sell a multi-location opportunity. And then we're going to follow that up on September 11th with onboarding and managing in the multi-location opportunities. Benefit to a franchisor if, when they upgrade. So that's the schedule for the next 5 weeks. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Feel free to reach out to your contact at Vendasta. I would love to strategize with each and every one of you, but probably the best way for you to reach me is either through LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, or get a hold of your contact at Vendasta, have them set up some time, and I would love to strategize on any multi-location opportunity with each and every one of you. That's all I got. Andrew, back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Joel. I'm going to leave it on that. The best podcast voice we've heard in a while since George Leith last week. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for spending time with us this week. Looking forward to the next 5 weeks. And, I'm sure we'll see some of you later on the Think Tank with Dennis Yu today. So keep well, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Andrew. And to bring George back one last time, I'll see you when I see you.